Welcome back to K-Ratio's Week in Preview. I'm Kyle Littner, and I'm here today to provide actionable insight for the future, not recap the past. In this week's episode, NCAA March Madness is here and brings with it the usual upsets, while anyone shipping reefer in the madness of March remains upset. We'll break down what that means for you this week, but first, let's take a look at where the freight market currently stands. The outbound tender volume index continues its streak of days above 15,000, now at 26 straight days and 15,296, still 24% higher than last year's pre-lockdown volume pushout. Tender rejections continue their streak of days above 25% at 34 days, now at 26.3%, just below 2018's record 26.7%. The implied accepted tender index from those two metrics gives us a freight volume number that is still 6% higher year over year despite the drastically different set of circumstances. Though extremely high, flat demand since last week let capacity show up in the areas of need, and that's how we get a truck stop spot rate number down 7 cents from last week to a still robust $3.24 a mile. A check of DAT's contract for spot spread shows a penny decrease for spot, now 11 cents over contract, still a serious problem for the industry. An even worse problem is reefer freight, where spot rates have eased from their highs 2 weeks ago, but remain extremely elevated at $3.73 a mile according to Truckstop, and DAT's contract for spot spread only tightened 3 cents, spot now 22 cents over contract. We're still not in April, and refrigerated freight gives no indication of solving its problems or even reducing them as we near peak produce season. Events like the Texas freeze or even the West Coast cargo imports that soak up intermodal capacity may exacerbate our reefer issue, but they are not the genesis of it. At its core, it's your basic supply and demand problem. Consumer behavior has shifted post-COVID, and that impacts not just the total of freight moving, but the type as well. Even though more and more states are reopening, more and more Americans opt to eat at home, and that means more food purchased at grocery stores at the expense of restaurants, which has a major effect on freight. This chart of tender rejections for reefer in blue against dry van in orange shows just how bad the situation in reefer really is. Since last fall, the two metrics have stopped moving in tandem, and while dry van is still high at above 25%, rejections for reefer are nearly 50% as the spread between the two is out to its highest margin ever. Another look at DAT's dark capacity chart emphasizes our problem. Demand in blue far exceeds inelastic supply in gray, and the two are not likely to narrow. U.S. grocery store sales are up 11% year over year, and while new reefer trailer orders have been historically strong every month since October 2020, none will be delivered before 2021 produce season ends, and most won't be here when 2022 produce season begins. If you are shipping temp-controlled freight, you need to move your contract rates up now and in a serious way, or you can remove your entire routing guide and just go straight to $5 spot rates. What does this mean for freight this week? Carriers, we all know reefer spot rates are high, but where do you find those rates? And just because the rates are high doesn't necessarily mean there are always spot loads to run. This is where you need to do your homework, and a market like Chicago has everything you want to see. Voluminous lanes with spot rates so far above contract that it all but guarantees there are spot loads to run. For example, Chicago to Atlanta, reefer spot rates are 50 cents over contract, to Harrisburg, $1 over contract, and Chicago to Columbus reefer spot rates are $1.50 higher than contract. Brokers, these are the lanes that you need to get back or renegotiate immediately, period, end of story. Trust me, your shipper customers don't give a shit how much negative margin freight you run for them, and you will not keep those lanes on next year's RFP unless you win them. Shippers, put aside the reefer madness for a second. LA is a nightmare. Q1 import cargoes are up 95% year over year, and while you let that sink in for a second, there are 15 vessels currently in port and another 12 waiting to dock. You have been warned. To stay current with everything freight, follow us on LinkedIn, or for more information on all of our products, including our award-winning freight intelligence platform so your margins do not end up where they are today, check us out at k-ratio.com. Please stay safe, and thanks again for watching.